You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. Expect a little bit of everything at tomorrow afternoon's Music and Mavens concert at the Rady JCC. In a highly diverse program, the Luminous String Quartet run the gamut from Bach to AC/DC. And to hear more about it, I'm joined by Artistic Director Karen Barg. Welcome back to Classic 107, Karen.
Good morning, Simon. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here. I'm excited to welcome you back to the studio. And I want to begin by asking, how does it feel to be the poster child of Music and Mavens 2024?
A bit shocking, but Carla asked if I would mind, and I said no. Do what you want. I mean, it's your show, whatever. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I go out some places and I see my face is plastered on the side of a wall, and it's a little bit jarring at first. And right. I'm doing Music and Mavens.
Well, look, I mean, your smiling face greets me every morning because we, of course, have the brochure here in the studio, and you're a return performer to the series. What do you enjoy most about being a part of Music and Mavens?
Oh, working with Carla is wonderful. Her team, they do a wonderful job as well. Make us sound good, make us look good, all these things. Like they're wonderful. They're very accommodating people, and they really believe in the series that they're doing, and all the musicians that come through. They are very respectful to everybody. It's a wonderful bunch of people.
It's a wonderful bunch of people. It's a wonderful series, and we're always so happy to talk about it and welcome so many of these performers to the studio. And one of the things that often comes up is that it is a unique opportunity for most players to play midday, to do a concert. But something tells me there isn't a time of day that Luminous String Quartet hasn't played. Is that fair to say?
Well, maybe not in the middle of the night.
All right, okay, so no 2 a.m. performances, not yet.
No, but I mean, some of us have been hired by Carlin Hebert of the Big City All-Star Band, and sometimes they get hired as an orchestra. So then there's me on my electric 5-string, and then I've got 2 other players that come and play. So yeah, we're playing until 12:30 at night.
Exactly. And I mean, the midday performances you do as well in terms of corporate gigs and
yes.
weddings and private functions and formal concerts too. I'm curious, do you have any idea how many gigs you're doing a year on average?
It varies. I mean, when we first came out of the pandemic, there were a lot of postponed events. And so that sort of added to the new events that were coming in. So we did get over 100.
That's unbelievable.
And that was 2 years ago. Yeah, last year we were close to it.
That's like a gig every third day.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there were weekends in June where it was insane. Like, that was the most insane month ever. We had 2 weekends where we had 7 weddings.
Wow.
One weekend was 6, and then the last weekend with 4. So a good chunk of those events were happening in June.
Yeah, you guys are certainly making the music happen. You're putting your reps in. I know there's also a rotating cast of musicians who kind of roll through with the Luminous String Quartet. Tomorrow, there's of course the big Music and Mavens concert happening. Who will you be performing with?
My second violinist is Amir Bisson. My violist is Martinez Mazal, and my cellist is Patricia Vanucci.
And how are you feeling heading into the concert tomorrow?
Feeling great. Yeah, we had a little rehearsal on Saturday, and we were playing through some stuff and having a good time. And
they say that variety is the spice of life, and if that's the case, then you guys have a real hot pepper of a performance planned here. I mean, the title is From Bach to AC/DC. Is there anything that musicians need to be, I don't know, particularly aware of when playing such a diverse program? Like, are there any challenges when you're spanning so many centuries of music?
Well, we really have to change the way that we're playing, the style, sometimes the vibrato, sometimes the approach with the bow, whatever. I mean, when it comes down to AC/DC, of course, we just rock out, and it's just like, okay, let's go for it. And it's okay if you hear some scratching and stuff like that, because that's how heavy metal is, right?
Yeah.
But with Bach, you have to be absolutely specific and particular.
When you were last in, we were talking. We were talking a fair bit about weddings and the various arrangements that you've done, and how more often than not, couples these days are interested in hearing something current, like pop or rock or film or TV music, even.
Taylor Swift. I
was going to say, is it the year of Taylor this year?
It's the year of Taylor. However, having said that, I was talking with Barry Kay of Cherry Tree Productions at the wedding show, and he was saying that actually the number one song that's being requested for weddings for the past 7 years was Perfect by Ed Sheeran. That's been knocked out by Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis.
No way. Look at that. Making a little resurgence.
It's making a resurgence.
So let's talk more about these arrangements. Are most of the arrangements for this concert at Music Mavens ones that you've done yourself then? Because we were talking about how, you kind of spend a few bucks on an arrangement and you realize that it doesn't sound like the original track. Are most of these your own then?
The contemporary ones, yeah. Yeah. So like the Beatles, All You Need Is Love, that one's mine. Like all of the contemporary ones.
Do you enjoy that aspect of the work? Do you like putting it together? Yeah.
I love it.
Are there any tracks that you've kind of been waiting on someone to suggest? Are there any sort of like desert island, I would love to do an arrangement of this type of tracks?
Well, we were just talking about what I started doing 2 days ago.
A little bit of Tool.
Little Disturbed.
Yeah.
I performed with them twice. I played Sound of Silence with them back in 2019, and then I did it again. Was it last year? I think it was last year. At any rate, one of my favorite songs of theirs is Down with the Sickness, and I thought, wow, let's see if we can make that one work. So I started working on it, and my husband was like, what are you doing? I recognize that.
Yeah. And I'm sure that happens a lot, right? People saying like, hold on, I didn't realize a string quartet could do that. That must be really like validating, when all of a sudden someone walks up to you and say like, hey, can you do Tool? Can you do Metallica? And not just
Fade
do,
to Black, we got it.
Pachelbel's Canon on
repeat,
no,
and
right?
we don't do mashups. Leave that on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly that. So what about the, because again, this is a very diverse program. It's not only the current stuff. There is some Bach, some Vivaldi on the program. Yep. I imagine these are in their original form, right?
Yes, they are.
So what from the Bach and Vivaldi canon will you be performing?
The Bach will do the Brandenburg Concerto No. 3, first movement. Vivaldi will do the second movement of the Winter Concerto. So we're going right from the Baroque era, and we're going into the classical, and then we'll go into the Romantic, and then the 20th century, and then present day. So we're taking you on a journey through music and how it changes over the years. And
that journey begins at 2 p.m. tomorrow down at the Rady JCC, the Bernie Theater. We've got all the details up at classic107.com. The Luminous String Quartet, Artistic Director Karen Barg has been my guest here in the Classic 107 studio. We're going to end this interview with a little bit of Winnipeg's own Neil Young. Can you tell us about Heart of Gold?
Heart of Gold. When I arranged this one, what I usually do is I purchase the piano music first. It's kind of like a skeleton, and then I flesh it out with the original song. But in the piano arrangement that I had, the harmonica part wasn't in there. So I had to really listen to it carefully and make sure that I added it in there. So it's pretty accurate. I'm sure listeners pretty proud of this one. I'm sure listeners will be singing along, humming along, and really listening for that harmonica part. This is the Luminous String Quartet performing Heart of Gold. Karen, as always, wonderful to have you here in the studio. Have a great show tomorrow. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Simon. Thanks for having me in.